I never imagined I'd turn into the neighborhood VY Gill auntie. But after replacing my mailbox 4 times in 6 months, you start thinking about options beyond the usual fixes. My name's Ethan and I moved into Maple Grove Estates about a year ago. It's one of those textbook suburban neighborhoods, flawless lawns, strict rules about garden gnome sizes, and an HOA managed by folks with far too much free time. The head of this lovely group was a woman named Linda Harper, and yeah, she fit the stereotype perfectly. When I first arrived, Linda greeted me with a smile that didn't quite touch her eyes and handed me a thick binder of HOA rules that outweighed my dog. "Just some light reading," she said with a laugh that sounded practiced. "We're thrilled to have a professional like you in our community. I'm sure you'll have no trouble keeping up with our standards." The way she stressed standards made it clear these weren't suggestions, they were laws etched in granite. I nodded, thanked her, and shoved the binder onto a shelf where it sat collecting dust. The trouble started when I put up my mailbox. Per the HOA handbook, it had to be black, mounted on a wooden post painted regal cream. Not plain white, God forbid. And placed exactly 22 inches from the curb. I measured twice, used a level, and even had a buddy who's a contractor double-check it. It was flawless, or so I thought. 3 days later, I found it smashed on the ground, tire marks cutting through the grass right to it. I figured it was a fluke, maybe a kid learning to drive or someone who misjudged a turn. I fixed it, strengthened the post, and moved on. A week later, it happened again. Then again. And again. After the 4th time, I decided to get serious. I set up a tiny security camera, hidden in a birdhouse that fit HOA rules perfectly. Within 2 days, I had my answer. There in sharp 1080p was Linda Harper in her silver BMW SUV, deliberately veering toward my mailbox. She didn't even try to hide it, slowing down, checking her mirrors, then swervoing to knock it off its post. I was floored. Who does that over and over to someone's property? I brought the VY to the next HOA meeting, expecting the other members to be just as shocked. Linda ran those meetings like a general at a war council, and when I raised my hand to talk about neighborhood vandalism, she barely let me speak. "I've had my mailbox destroyed 5 times now," I said, standing to face the 20 or so neighbors in the room. "I've got proof of who's doing it." Linda's face went a little pale, but she kept her cool. "That's not an HOA issue," she snapped, shuffling her notes. "Take it to the police like anyone else." "I think it's an HOA issue when the vandal's the president," I shot back, pulling out my tablet. The room buzzed with whispers. Linda turned beet red. "That's ridiculous. Stop these baseless accusations." I didn't argue, I just hit play. The footage was undeniable. Linda's BMW license plate HOA swerving to smash my mailbox. Silence fell. Linda grabbed her gavel and slammed it so hard it splintered the wood beneath. "Meeting adjourned," she barked, grabbing her stuff with shaky hands. As she stormed out, she jabbed a finger at me. "That illegal camera breaks at least 6 rules. Expect fines in your mailbox if it's still there," she sneered. The next day, an HOA notice arrived, citing me for unauthorized surveillance, improper mailbox placement, I get this, fostering a hostile environment. The fines added up to overdue law 800. I tried calling Linda, emailing the board, even talking to other members one-on-one. No one would help. They were all terrified of her. She'd ruled the HOA for 8 years and apparently had something on everyone. That's when I decided to fight fire with fire, legally, of course. I filed a police report with the VY. The officer was sympathetic but said it'd likely be treated as minor property damage, maybe a fine and restitution for Linda if I was lucky. That wasn't enough. She'd cost me money, time, and sanity with her petty games. I wanted her to face real consequences. So I launched what I now call Operation Mailbox Revenge. First, I bought the priciest HOA-approved mailbox I could find, $250, and documented every penny and hour spent installing it. Then I dug a deep hole, poured quickset concrete, and reinforced the post with a steel rod sunk 3 feet down. This thing wasn't budging. Next, I hit a battery-powered dash cam and a decorative finial that blended with the neighborhood style. I added motion-activated garden lights to catch any nighttime hits and surrounded the base with decorative landscaping rocks, big, heavy boulders half buried in the ground, forming a harmless-looking border. All of it was 100 fan-tram HOA compliant. The trap was ready. I just had to wait. 3 days went by quietly. I started wondering if Linda had spotted my setup. Then on the fourth night at 11:15 p.m., my phone pinged with a security alert. I opened the app and watched live as Linda's BMW slowed, then swerved toward my mailbox. What happened next was awful and glorious. Her front tire hit a buried rock at 20 miles per hour. There was a loud crunch, her fancy rim shattered, the axle bent, and the car jolted hard. Airbags popped. Linda, clearly not wearing a seatbelt, lurched forward but was cushioned enough to avoid major harm. Her car skidded onto my lawn, steam pouring from the wrecked hood. I ran outside, phone in hand, calling 911. "There's been a crash in front of my house," I said calmly, heart pounding. "A driver hit my landscaping. No serious injuries, but send help fast." Linda stumbled out, dazed and furious. When she saw me filming, she froze. "You okay, Linda?" I asked loudly, playing the concerned neighbor. "Looks like you hit my mailbox area again." "You," she spat, coffee staining her pricey blouse from the crash. "You set me up. This was a trap." I stayed cool, still recording. "I just installed a compliant mailbox and some landscaping, per HOA rules, section 12, paragraph 4. Want to see the permits while we wait for the cops?" She glared, seething. "I'll see you for everything. This is assault." I smiled faintly. "Actually, driving onto my property to smash my mailbox 5 times on VYDOI's vandalism. I've just protected my stuff legally." The police arrived, followed by a fire truck and ambulance. Linda ranted about how I trapped her and broke in every HOA rule. The officers listened, then asked where she'd been driving. When she pointed to the path across my lawn toward the mailbox, one cop raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, why were you on this man's lawn?" She stammered, too swerved to miss a cat. At 11:15 p.m., for the 6th time in 2 months, always hitting the same mailbox? I asked, showing the cop my EVY. It fell apart for her fast. She got tickets for reckless driving, vandalism, false reporting, and no seatbelt. Her car was totaled, engine block cracked, frame bent. Her insurance, run by a neighbor who'd also suffered under her, refused to cover it since she'd been committing a crime. The best part came 3 days later at an emergency HOA meeting. Linda showed up, arm in a sling, despite no injuries, with a nervous young lawyer. She thought she could turn it around, maybe even make me pay for her car. But the VYC president, a retired judge named Henry, took charge. "Before we discuss the incident," Henry said, "we've uncovered financial issues. An audit shows law 22,000 of HOA funds went to personal expenses, spa memberships, a Napa trip, and 5 mailbox installations at the president's home." The room exploded. Linda tried to interrupt, but Henry slammed her gavel with force. "We also found selective rule enforcement, a breach of duty." He turned to me. "Ethan, your fines are dropped. Your setup's fully compliant." Then to the room, "We're voting on a no-confidence motion for the president." It was unanimous. Linda was out. The HOA would seek restitution and had reported her to the DA. Linda stood, clutching her purse. "This is his fault," she cried, pointing at me. "He ruined everything after 8 years of my work. And law 20,000 of ours," someone shouted. Her face fell. She tripped on the uneven carpet she'd ignored fixing, glared at me one last time. "This isn't over," and I just smiled. "I think it is, Linda. But I'm pretty good at setting traps if you want to keep going."